Welcome to the Dakota and Wolfe Show.
Oh, hey!
Thank you all. Thank you. Today, we are going to be reviewing a very good, suspenseful movie that is independent. The filmmakers obviously didn't have a big enough budget for what they made, but the movie was very good. I myself gave Eye Contact a 3.5 out of 5 stars for an independent film. The movie made you emotionally attached to the main character. Wouldn't you agree, Wolfie? Obviously, the main character being the jogger, and made you care for her health, while at the same time, the movie made you fear the Watcher, the mysterious Watcher following the main character. The music in the film added to the fear of the Watcher. It was perfect, perfectly timed. Notes were amazing in it. And even Wolfie himself became afraid of the Watcher. Wolfie is not usually afraid, but he feared. The film was a very good film for having no dialogue whatsoever. Closest dialogue you got was her panting. Don't look at me like that. Even the screams, you heard her scream, but the music begins when the jogger is... excuse me. The action of the film begins when the jogger notices a figure. When she is at the top of a lighthouse, after she went on a jog, she was jogging, went up the steps of a lighthouse and looked down and saw the mysterious figure watching her. She thought nothing of it. But when she is back down on the ground, she knows the figure following her and believes the figure will try to cause her harm. The jogger runs as fast as she can to escape the figure. Now the question is, will she escape? Will she escape? In the film directors did not use many different camera angles. That was one of the letdowns of the movie. It didn't have many, great camera angles that usually high-end movies have. But used angles that mostly focused on what the main character saw. So it was mostly just her. If she saw something, it was pointed mostly just at her with the area around her. The soundtrack of the film was perfectly used, and every note caused more panic for the audience. As I said before, the soundtrack of the film was just tremendous. It caused suspense during the whole film. It definitely added to your panic levels. Definitely added. The filmmaker used CGI to make the Watcher the way they imagined he would look as a character. So they added him more of a shadow character following our main character, which I may have a problem with, but that's fine. They thought of the character as that. Even Wolfie had a problem with it, and he doesn't have a lot of problems. He's kind of a wolf. Yeah. These angles and special effects were used very well and created suspense for the entire film. The filmmaker, in literary terms, used foreshadowing. And foreshadowing, of course, was mostly what they centered on. There wasn't really any other things in literary terms, but they definitely added foreshadowing. When the jogger's looking down, I'll even tell you when it happens, foreshadowing. When the jogger is looking down at the mysterious watcher, the film forebodes an omen of malice. Yes, scary, I know. Lastly, let me talk about the overall quality of the film. The film's biggest strength, of course, is the soundtrack. Soundtrack carried that film the entire way. Pushed it to the finish line. Even Wolfie says, pushed it to the finish line. Every note perfectly matched the action of the film. The CGI was very good for a B-movie, as I call it, a B-movie, independent movies. So it didn't have a big budget, but it was a very good B-movie. If the film had a bigger budget, obviously the CGI would be better, so I won't judge the CGI that harshly. I believe filmmakers could have not used CGI man as much, so in my mind I think that it could have been a little bit better with having some of those shots where you see the man following her cut down to where you only see him maybe 3 times the whole film. Where you see him where you're looking down, and then when she's looking down and seeing the mysterious figure looking back at her, then when he's at the top of the lighthouse, then maybe 4 or 5 times, now that I think about it, maybe 4 times, I give it that. Then once again, when she's running away and sees him or the figure behind her, and she's running, and that's most all you get, then you get the jump scare. That's when you would see him again. And then from then, you just see her running, and you don't know if it's following her, but you just keep on seeing her look back, and look back, and look back to make sure that, to see that the figure is still following her. One of the main things I remember from this film is the jump scare and the soundtrack. Jump scare scared everyone. I mean, it was that turn away from the camera where they pointed it this way, then all of a sudden turn back and you got jumped. All in all, the film was very good for a B-movie. Now, Wolfie, any comments? Obviously, his quiet self. That's the end of our review. Yay! Woo!